Every year, I tried my hardest not to have Drake as my #1 on my Spotify Wrapped, and it never fails. His music is just good for all situations. But is it true that he's experiencing a midlife crisis? Well, in this video, you're going to find out.
I am Barack Obama. I am Barack Obama.
This is my issue with Drake. This is like he rapping for the children. And that's my, yo dog, I had to look up how old this was when I finished listening to that.
Of course, it's starting with Joe Budden, bro.
You are 36. Your birthday is in 20 days. I Googled that too. You will be 37 years old. Get the away from some of these younger and stop these 25-year-olds.
Yo, did you see they put a little... They put a little smidge of Ice Spice on that, bro.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that Drake is firing on all cylinders. At a time which should have represented his ultimate triumph, he's wrestling with an identity crisis that's been going on for the better part of the last 5 years. Faced with accusations of phoning it in, Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs, is among the worst reviewed of his career, leaving both fans and critics feeling shortchanged by its lengthy runtime and filler tracks.
I liked it, bro. For All the Dogs, it was kind of hard.
Sprinkling in a couple of genuinely great, maturely crafted tracks with a whole array of songs that should have never been conceived nor taken out of the studio, this isn't the first time that a Drake album has felt less like a body of work than it is just a glorified playlist. His 14th project in 14 years, Drake's For All the Dogs, performed in the way that you'd expect to begin with. Over 400,000 in first week sales and an immediate beeline for the top of the charts. While this proved that people are still checking for Drake, they aren't necessarily still sticking around or liking what they hear. Because these days, what's on offer is just an imitation of his finest work. Drake sounds disjointed and meandering on For All the Dogs, wrote The Ringer in a scathing review.
He rapping for the children. Get the away from some of these younger. I'm want to hear adult Drake.
Okay, he's 30-something years old, but he's rapping about his life. He living that young life. And plus 37 isn't even old, bro.
Go find some your age. Hang out with them.
And he's so mad.
Get some of that sauce.
He's so
Left
passionate.
in limbo between one generation and the next, Drake has long since let go of any desire to cater to hip-hop as his core audience. Instead, it's all about getting those streaming numbers on a global scale. It all comes down to the fact that he was rejected by hip-hop, and as a result, is now rejecting the genre itself. During a recent show at the Apollo Theater, Drake spoke out about his early attempts to enter hip-hop. I came here with my uncle trying to get signed, you know?
Hold on, wait. Let me pause real quick. Let me envision this, because I guess I'm a Drake fan. But let me preface by saying I wasn't always a Drake fan, bro. Like, I didn't fuck with him in the early days. Like, I still haven't even listened to Take Care. But, like, what are they talking about? He makes fire music, bro. I just don't get it.
The point is, I didn't get signed that first trip to New York. I went back home and I had to go back to my mom's basement because it didn't play out like the way I thought it would.
Take Care,
so I
bro.
went back and I wrote some more songs to see if I can get signed. And eventually, somebody called. Clearly, this is something that he's been harboring for a long time, and returning to the scene of that rejection brought it all to the surface. Crazy as it is to imagine now, Drake was routinely overlooked in his early career, being seen by tastemakers of the time as too soft to survive.
Okay, I agree. In the early days, I thought he was too soft, but that's because I was listening to Eminem, bro. Eminem, Kendrick, and like, you know, just rappity rap. That's all I was listening to.
The emo sound, that wasn't necessarily prevalent at the time. I just couldn't see the curve.
As Fat Joe tells it, Drizzy begged to get on All the Way Up, only to be told no.
3 times, middle of the night, send me the instrumental, send me the instrumental, send me the instrumental.
Back then, it clearly wasn't seen as historic significance to get Drake on there. From then on, he's written off any notion of appealing to that crowd, leaving people like Fat Joe and T.I. wondering what could have been. But rather than letting it go, there's a sense that over time, he's turned spiteful as his success eclipsed theirs. Instead, he's given his energy to another crowd that's always been there.
Yeah, at one point it did clearly hurt Drake that he wasn't being taken seriously by those types. However, he ended up reaching a point of popularity to where you couldn't ignore him and his numbers anymore. And these types of dudes, he essentially outlasted them, outcharted them. Now he's in a position where their opinion doesn't really matter anymore. Joe Budden's generation of rap, you guys already rejected him. You threw him in the trash. Now that he's pushing 40, he's not going to suddenly turn around.
Stop pushing 40, bro. Like, come on. He's not that old. What is going on? Am I pushing 30 because I'm turning 26 in a few weeks? Like, what is going on right now, bro?
Logically, this makes sense. Drake doesn't need hip-hop's approval at this point. He already has accolades that far exceed what most people could ever dream of. The only problem is that, deep down, he still cares. Just look at what went down with Charlamagne and Joe Budden recently.
Drake put out a song last Friday and nobody cared. The Drake and SZA record. It came out last Friday.
What do you mean nobody cared? It was cool, actually. You know what? The first half I didn't really fuck with, but the verse after, January, it was in there with a tubes tied. November. Oh, Slime Me Up. Hey, you fucking got me, bro. Like, you really just got me. Damn. I never got that got.
In some ways, Charlamagne was right. Slime You Out may have debuted at number 1, but it fell out of the top 10 in just its second week. Next, there was the whole Joe Budden situation. As alluded to earlier, Joe Budden has some criticisms of For All the Dogs, but also acknowledged that he liked the record overall. In spite of this, and taking into account Drake's current mindset, meant that he focused on the negative, and alongside labeling Joe a failure in music. You left music behind to do what you were doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills.
Okay, I will admit that, like, all this shit he wrote and said was crazy. Like, you got too much money to be doing this, for real.
Things that pop in your brain had you broke living check to check. And the raps you write had 450 men showing up to your shows in Dusty and Nietzsche jeans to screw up their face to Mood Music 29 and pretend you were the GOAT. If you need to put it in simpler terms, Drizzy concluded, I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions. Once again, Drake enlisted the I make more money than you argument. And in a culture like hip-hop, going out of his way to do that will do the opposite of making people think that you don't care. Even to a Drake stan like academics, this represented dangerous.
By the way, stop saying I look like this nigga, man. Please. I'm tired of it, man. But at least once a month, I get a comment saying that I look like a healthy academics. Like, cut it out, man. Please.
I think Drake is at the point where I don't think he gives a about what someone in hip hop might say about his album. It's the first time I've ever seen Drake
I don't want to show my face
defensive, whether it's Charlamagne saying something.
Screen.
I've never seen a defensive Drake. I've seen him put the music out and he always let the music talk.
Suddenly firing back against hip-hop at an age where it'd be assumed that he'd embrace it, Drake instead keeps trying to appeal to the kids. Leaving hip-hop behind, he's finding allies and streamers instead, shouting out the likes of Kai Cenat and Aiden Ross on his records. But is this organic, or just another concerted effort to keep creating new fans by engaging with younger demographics? Well, rather than being new, it's actually a formula that he's enlisted before. A few years back, he popped up on a stream with Ninja, breaking Twitch records in the process. After that, the relationship was never nurtured much further. And over time, Ninja saw through it for the cynical move that it was.
I feel like Drake saw that I was up and coming in the gaming scene and he thought it would be a perfect way to just tap into another source of viewers by playing with me. He also might have just wanted a game. I'm not sure.
Bro, okay, hold on now. What he thought? He thought they were just gonna be friends after that? He thought, oh, they was gonna hop on a stream, play some games, and then they're gonna be friends for life? What was he expecting, bro?
By now, the days of hoping for another record like Take Care or Nothing Was the Same are long gone. Because, as opposed to trying to deliver something critically acclaimed anymore, he's simply trying to deliver something current that'll keep his position as a commercial star solidified. The whole fallout from For All the Dogs has created an issue of perception for Drake. Because now he's increasingly viewed as an overgrown man-child while his peers are leveling up. This also bleeds into the content of the album. At 37, Drake is still trying to talk tough, rapping about his allegations with Millie Bobby Brown by spitting, bring them jokes up to the gang, we get to really flocking, or send a finger to your mama in some FedEx boxes. Open up that it's jaw-dropping. Left spinning his wheels and embracing his most childish urges, For All the Dogs has made it clear that he's no longer pushing the genre forward. Instead, he's simply holding his space in the genre.
He doing the same shit Michael Jackson did, bro. All right, Michael Jackson didn't have a childhood and he bought a roller coaster or some shit, bro.
And while other artists use their feature artists to build thematic albums, Drake just seems to want them on the record like collecting Pokemon cards.
Gently with Bad Bunny, it feels like him and 40 went to Google Translate and took like a Spanish beat and then made up a couple of bars and sent it to Bad Bunny and said, you fill in the blank.
Left without any real focus, it raises the issue of whether this album was needed in the first place.
Somebody gotta ask him, Drake, why did you feel the need to drop this project? Why now? You could have taken your time.
Let's picture a world where he just want to drop music. You asking him, hey Drake, why did you feel the need to put this album out? Because he felt like it, bro. What is going on, man? Y'all got me frazzled. Okay, look. Let me just say a few things, okay? I'm not trying to ride Drake's plane. But like, what are y'all talking about? Can't somebody just make music and put it out? When you're 37, you can't say silly shit. Like, he be saying some of the silliest bars. If you listen to that little Scary Hours thing, he said, all you niggas buns, you Hawaiian as fuck. Like, he's silly, bro. Let the man be silly. What the hell? What's the big deal? And then he put out some shit with J. Cole. What y'all saying? You think J. Cole is just on the track with Jake for the streams? Like, he be saying some cool shit sometimes. I got a suggestion for all the Drake haters out there. Just lay off his meat a little bit, because clearly it don't matter. How many people for the Spotify rap did you see had Drake as #1? Like, what's going on? Just chill.
I am Barack Obama. I am Barack Obama.